Let's make some noise. Come on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nick Foles. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the much-anticipated return of the final word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, which boy MattyB on the call. It's great to be back here with you. And as you can see behind me, I am back at base camp. Yes, my trip, my college baseball season has come to an end, sadly, due to some lack of games, lack of financial structure there for me. A little bit too much coming out of pocket and not enough coming in pocket. So we agreed that I'd return to the north and carry on here from base camp. So I'm back in the net, and we will be back to regularly scheduled programming as much as I possibly and humanly can going forward into the summer and beyond. So until, of course, next baseball season when we do this whole thing again. But it's great to be back. I did a couple games this week. Of course, had some fun down there when I was doing it. So great to be back here. And it's obviously great to be back on the network, on the air, as we've had a lot of stuff happening around the Philadelphia sports world that I'm going to try to get caught up on tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we don't have that much time because tonight we're going to do a twofer. That's right. We're going to, not only do I have the distinct pleasure of returning here as the host of the final word, but I also have to do some clear the ice duties tonight, as I will have you when the Flyer Capital game goes final at some point. I guess they're into the back end of the second period down there at the arena. Yeah, at the arena. Flyers are up 2-1. As we're going to get into some Flyers talk tonight, because I think I have to make a executive decision here soon as it pertains to clear the ice, a decision that's become all too familiar in the history of that program and when it comes to Flyers hockey, especially in the spring. So stay tuned for all that. We'll get into some Flyers coverage as we go through. Eagles dominating the obviously the newscape lately. Some players are gone. Some players are coming. And free agency is, I guess, officially underway in the NFL. We'll definitely pull the layers back on some of the moves that the Eagles have made. And that, honestly, I'm pretty on board with most of them, to be honest with you. There's one move I'm not necessarily on board with, but the other moves I pretty much agree with. So we'll get into more of that as the show moves on. The Phillies continue their spring training jaunt. Interesting situation happening in Clearwater that no one's really kind of talking about when it comes to some of the prospects. Aiden Miller has yet to take an at-bat at spring training. And it's more than likely he won't at any time soon, as he's dealing with some lower back problems that are sort of plaguing him. So our much anticipated arrival of Aiden Miller may not be coming for quite some time, as when you miss spring training, it really kind of puts your season a little bit back. But we'll get into that. And, of course, on the international side, the World Baseball Classic is well in hand. Team USA somehow, I don't know what to believe anymore when it comes to what happened last night against Italy. It definitely seemed that the team had sort of the wrong intel, right? They went into that game feeling that they had already locked up a spot in the quarterfinals. DeRosa, sat a couple of the regulars. He went with a very wonky and weird pitching staff featuring Nolan McLean and Ryan Yarbrough. And they got basically blown out by Italy. And, until around the seventh inning, when maybe that's when DeRosa realized, wait, we're not in the quarterfinals. I got to do something. It was an interesting little shot down to the bullpen. I think it was 8-1 at this point. And there's, what's his name? Kershaw warming up down there in the bullpen. I mean, does that not tell you that this team thought this game was not necessary to play? He was on an MLB.com show or MLB Network show earlier today saying out of his own mouth, we've punched our ticket to the quarterfinals. And it definitely felt that way, the way they went at about the game last night with the players they played and the players they didn't play. They lose 8-6 and found themselves in a vicarious spot heading into tonight's game where they needed Italy to win, or Italy to win by more than, or Italy score more than 4 runs before they lost, in regulation. They couldn't go extra innings. Right now it's 6-0 7-0, mind you. It looks like pretty much the ticket has, though, been punched. Team USA will move on to the quarterfinals, but a very hairy situation that DeRosa tried to walk back by saying in his post-game presser last night, I knew we didn't clinch. I misspoke. It was a misjudgment, misstep on my part. But you sure as hell wouldn't know it by the way they went about their game last night. There was also reports that after the win against Mexico, there was some celebrating going on in that USA clubhouse throughout the wee hours of the morning, which then put a lot of players unavailable for yesterday's game as well. Again, a sign that the team was thinking that because they were 3-0, that they were in and that they were definitely going to the quarterfinals, but that was not the case. We dodged a bullet last night. It looks like it's Italy behind Aaron Nola, who pitched a hell of a game tonight. 5 innings, no runs allowed. He was working his curveball. His fastball was getting to about 94. Working every ounce and inch of that plate, looking like vintage Aaron Nola. Kept Mexico at bay, and Italy has built themselves a 7-0 lead. And barring a complete and utter disaster, I think they're in the 8th inning, 7th, 8th inning. Barring a complete and utter disaster, Team USA will move on into the quarterfinals, and I believe they will face Canada in the quarterfinals Friday night. So, congratulations, Team USA. But we do have some things to talk about with the team. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Brad Keller, all representing on Team USA. All of them having interesting series, interesting tournaments. But we'll get into some of that as well as we move into today's show. So a lot on the table, and of course the Flyers, as I mentioned, we'll get into that when we talk some clear the ice. So let's get it going here on the network. Oh yeah, and the phone lines, they are open. Let me get some of that going here. Let's get the phone lines going. Phone lines are open if you want to chime in. Right now we're having some problems on YouTube, so let's see if we can get that resolved. But we're having some problems on YouTube, so we are streaming on Facebook and we are streaming on YouTube. So we're having problems on Twitter. Sorry. So if you want to join the show, you know the drill. Just jump on, click the link, and you may join in. Let's get everything rolling here. Let's strap in, strap on, strap up. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we go with your day in Philadelphia sports history. On this day in 1947, a crowd of 1,776 people witnessed the Phillies lose by a score of 13-1 to the Detroit Tigers in the team's very first game in sunny Clearwater, Florida. The Phillies have held spring training there in every single year since. In a popular display of fandom, thousands of Phillies fans flock south every year to take in a little baseball escape down there in Central Florida. So today, in 1947, the Phillies lost their very first ever spring training game in Clearwater by a score of 13-1 to the Detroit Tigers. So happy Clearwater Day. Those of you that are historians of the Phillies Clearwater situation in spring training. So there you go. That little segment was brought to you by the great folks here at the network. And this is our schedule for the rest of the week. Tomorrow or tonight, you had the Pittsburgh Sports Desk followed by me. And then tomorrow, you've got the final word and some Flyers Wild postgame. Friday night, Philly Friday Frenzy with Big Al returns. Took a week off. And then on Saturday, the best of the It's a Rep Sports and the Flyers Blue Jackets postgame. And then Sunday, we do it all over again with Philly AM Sports, and the final word returns on Sunday night, as we should have ourselves a full broadcast week next week. And a little bit of programming note, we are here on the final word getting ready. We're starting to prepare right now. We will be moving back to our 10 p.m. time slot starting on March 22nd. So on March 22nd, we will abandon our winter nest and we will return to our summer spot at 10 p.m. as we approach the start of the Philly season. And obviously that's 100% because to give the Phillies game a little pad there in between the end of the Phillies game and the start of my show. So we will be returning because baseball is quickly returning. In a couple of weeks, we'll have ourselves Phillies Rangers at the bank for real. So I cannot wait for that. So that's what's coming up here on the network over the course of the next week, and then heading into the latter part of the month of March. And another scheduling note, I'd like to also announce the triumphant return of the Fighting's Final season at number 5. It will make its premiere on Sunday, March 22nd at 2 p.m. Join myself, Big Al, and Big Mike as we will join you, and we will break down in our very best way that we know how, and prepare you for the 2026 Philadelphia Phillies season with our Fighting's Final preview spectacular show. Start the whole thing over again. One of just 3 times that you'll have an opportunity to see me, Al, and Mike all together, as once we get into actual post games, we end up breaking into sort of like single pairs here on the show. So make sure you're tuned in for some Phillies 2026 season preview action starting on Sunday, March 22nd at 2 p.m. And I think that's all I got to talk about when it comes to that. Ricky Deal's chiming in. Ricky, how you doing, my main man? Go Flyers indeed. Flyers, are they still winning, Ricky? Let's take a look on the Flyers. It's 2-1 at the end of the second. So we will be giving you some Clear the Ice in its entirety at the end of this program, as I'm doing the old-fashioned 2 for tonight, Ricky. So make sure you're hanging around for it. We'll get some overtime going and all that here at the end of this program. On tonight's show, though, we will try to mix all of it in. We're going to do this show. We did the Philadelphia Sports History Night. We're going to try to get back into the of the night and also our card segment. We're going to try to do all of that tonight, as well as a post-game show. So I'm trying to make up for some lost time here, as last week, this week, the week before that, it was in and out on the road, back here, down there, doing all kinds of craziness. So we're going to try to make up for some lost time. But if you missed it at the top of the program, I am back at base camp, and I will remain here for the remainder until probably next college season. So my little jaunt down south has ended due to some financial restrictions, some financial unfulfilled potential, I guess. I don't know what to say about that, but we're gonna get this thing back together here and keep rolling. But big show here tonight, so I'm glad to be back. I am glad to be back in the net. So let's get going here, Ricky, and everybody else that's tuned in. By the way, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. It's tough business we're in here. It's a very tough business. There's some decisions that have to be made on a daily basis that are not necessarily the popular decisions, and some decisions that are made affect people. And I understand that. And obviously here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network, the young network we're going to be making some things change. We're going to make some things stay the same. We're going to go different directions. We're going to try to see what works. And sometimes they're not necessarily the most popular decisions, but I stand by all of them. Yeah, they're my decisions and my alone. So it's tough. John Phillips, one of our Pittsburgh guys, he was hosting the Pittsburgh Sports Tonight program. Unfortunately, due to some issues with his job, has to step out and put the show on hiatus until time unknown. But John's work speaks for himself, and John is ready. Whenever he's ready, he can come back with absolutely no issues. So I can't wait to welcome him back in the net when it comes to the Pittsburgh Sports Tonight program. And of course, Steel City Sunday post game when we get back to football season. So some things are changing all the time. Sometimes they're not great, but sometimes we just got to deal with what we got to deal with, man. And it's nothing personal, but we got to do what we got to do. So a little PSA there from me as we get into the back half of, as we get ready for the calm before the storm here as April approaches. Busy month for us here on the network, as we're going to continue to try to pump out content as much as we possibly can. So let's get into some Eagles talk. Free agency is now official. We have definitely begun the free agency period. The Eagles have made some moves. There's some moves that went against them, more so moves that went against them up to this point than they've actually done anything solid to strengthen the club. Before I get into some of the free agent moves, I do understand that, sometimes you just can't pay them all, right? And I get that. There's been some controversial decisions made by Howie Roseman and the Eagles, and I am very supportive of those decisions. I thought that they were the right decisions to make, especially as it surrounds Nakobe Dean, who took off for greener pastures out there in Vegas for the Raiders. The bottom line with Nakobe Dean to me is this: when he's on the field, he's a game changer. Problem is, he has not demonstrated the actual consistency to stay on the field. And to try to like chalk yourself into a long-term deal or even a 3-year deal, which he signed with the Raiders, is hard when you're a cap-strapped team like the Eagles, who pride themselves on a team that knows how to draft well and has replacements allegedly waiting in the wings. Now, as far as the replacement, and obviously that would be Jihad Campbell. Is he waiting in the wings officially? Time will tell. But as far as giving and breaking the bank on Nakobe Dean, I couldn't see a pathway to that at all. It's a risk that the Raiders took on him. It's a risk the Raiders can afford to take on him. There's no expectations in Las Vegas, and there's a lot of money out there. So they actually were in a perfect position to take on someone like Nakobe Dean. If he stays on the field, it pays off. But there's always that risk, and he has demonstrated that potential there throughout the early part of his career that you just can't trust him when it comes to the injury situation. So saying goodbye to Nakobe Dean was nothing that I was really upset about. I think we were all kind of ready for it, considering most. I don't know if there was anybody out there that upset that we didn't retain Nakobe Dean, especially in the situation that the Eagles are in when it comes to the money. So yeah, I mean, is it a popular decision? It's not. Obviously, he's a fan favorite. He's again, when he's on the field, he makes things different. He changes things. He's a different animal, but he just hasn't demonstrated the ability to stay on the field that consistently. So give a Howie kudos on that. I am. I'm going to be very, very plain about that. I'm very, very supportive of that decision, as well as the decision to move off of Reed Blankenship. Was he a diamond in the rough that they found on the UDFA scrap heap? Yes, 100%. But was he a player that you invest millions of dollars in going forward? Is he somebody that fits the team of what they're trying to do long term? No, he was a great rotational piece that might have been playing better based on a system that he was in. Going down to Houston now with an opportunity with the bank and the bag, whatever, to kind of show off his own sort of personal style under a new defense and a new team. 100% agree with this decision. It's just not where I think the Eagles need to be investing their money in a player like that. It's, if you can keep him around on the cheap, yeah, of course. But the minute he demands high end money, I'm just not in that business. So once again, a non-popular decision when it comes to the fan base, and Howie wasn't afraid to kind of live with that. And I got to give Howie credit on that. That's a ballsy move to say goodbye to not one, but two fan favorites. So I'm 100% on board with that. The Eagles need to invest their time and their attention and their money into long-term replacements in that secondary, which will lead me to one of the players they brought in, which makes absolutely no sense to me. But kudos to Howie on that decision. Again, Reed Blankenship's replacement is here. Cuba, right? Did not have a great. Well, then he got the actual replacement. Time will tell. But I got to give Howie credit on this one. Another pretty smart decision. Then you got the Matt Pryor and the Brent Toff thing. Both of them took off for different teams. I think Pryor went out to San Francisco and Toff went to Arizona, or I have them backwards. I don't know, but they decided to move on for greener pastures. Matt Pryor took a lot of heat in his multiple stints here in the Eagles, but for a 6th-round draft pick, I thought he definitely panned out, and we got as much as we could out of that. But again, was I ready to invest big-time money in on him? No. Was I ready to invest the future on him? No. And the same thing with Brett Toff. So pretty decent, solid moves there by the Eagles by not trying to pony up to keep the popular players here or the familiar players here. So I 100% support that. Now, as far as the one player so far, and then also you got Grant Calcaterra, right? The Eagles decided to bring him back on a 1-year deal. Now we start getting into that, like, what the hell are we doing thing. I don't really know what – I get it. You brought him in on a 1-year contract. Is this a move because of a familiar player? Obviously, they're not turning over the tight end room to Grant Calcaterra. I don't think that's what the plan here is. Is this just a continuity move for the Eagles as they try to transition into a new offensive coordinator and a new offensive line coach? Is this a transitional familiarity type move? I'm trying to find a reason why he's here. or why he was brought back. He doesn't really do anything on the field for me. You know, he's good for like 1 or 2 catches a game or a season. Not particularly that good at blocking. I'm trying to figure out what the move here is. Is this a cost-cutting move? Is this a move that they could bring somebody in here who's competent and not have to break the bank on? But a short-term situation going on at tight end as Grant Calcaterra returned, as well as the Eagles went out and brought in another tight end. And this is where it continues to get a little murky for me. Johnny Munt, formerly of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has signed a 1-year contract. So we're bringing in another tight end on a 1-year deal. Is this something that's setting up? Are we able to read the tea leaves on this? Is a tight end in our future high in this year's draft? Are the Eagles tipping their hand here by signing 2 veteran kind of also ran type tight ends to very small deals? Are the Eagles putting themselves? Are the Eagles going all Dave Dombrowski here and tipping their hand about maybe going after a tight end at the top end of this draft and whoever that may be or whatever round that may be? And by the way, the Eagles have 9 picks now, as their compensatory picks were announced this week or last week. Is this a move for the Eagles? Are they tipping their hand that they're going all in with the tight end? Because again, if we're going to continue to dink and dunk on our tight end room, I just don't understand that philosophy. I don't know why we're heavily investing into some positions, but yet we're completely not invested in the tight end. When did that stop? This was one of the more tight end factory type teams in its history, always having the actual guy and his replacement waiting for him in the wings. And how he's decided to kind of go off of that over the last few years, a little concerning. Dallas Goedert is not coming back. I don't think that's even a reality to be talked about anymore. But the direction of where we're headed with tight end, with Grant Calcaterra and Johnny Munt, makes me question a little bit about what the plan is with the tight ends. And again, as a GM, and I'm not a GM in the NFL, obviously, but as somebody that pays attention, and every fan who's got set of eyes can see this, are the Eagles are they tipping their hand here? Are they setting themselves up for a potential high-end tight end draft pick in this year's draft? Adam, how you doing, brother? What's going on? Good to see you. Hope all is well. And then actually, then the big one. The Eagles finally addressed the CB2 position in the free agent market. They brought in former Seattle Seahawk, former All-Pro Rick Woolen on a 1-year deal worth up to $15 million. This one's got me a little puzzled. Again, this second year in a row that we've decided to kind of go low, not low end, but address the CB2 position, not long term. And don't tell me that replacement's already here, because we burned through 3 of them that can't play a damn back there. Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, and Adoree Jackson. Don't tell me that the backup's here already. I don't think we have the backup here. I get the Eagles are not maybe in a cash position to break the bank on a veteran cornerback long term. Are they tipping their hand again? Are the Eagles going to draft DB high? And I think that they should, obviously. But what exactly is the philosophy around the cornerback 2 position? And why has this become a thorn in our side with this organization over the last couple seasons? Why last year did they go into it inadequately prepared? And I hope that Howie's not trying to sell the Eagle fan base on depth with young players as he tried to last year with Keely Ringo and company. I hope he doesn't try to do that, because people sucked it up last year. I don't know if they're that stupid to suck it up again this year based on what we've seen from Keely Ringo, especially back there. So I really am concerned, or not concerned, but confused about this pick. Woolen is a former top 10 or top tier talent, but he's sort of kind of regressed over the last few years since making that All-Pro appearance or that All-Pro selection. Is he better than what we've had back there? Yeah, he is. But he's not long term, and they're obviously not going to be able to keep him long term, especially if he has a good year this year, and he's going to want to get paid again next year. So, not really understanding what the situation here. Again, what I take from this is that they're tipping their hand that they're going to go DB high in the draft. I'm not talking first round. I'm not talking necessarily second round. Maybe one of those 19 third-round picks that they got. But very confusing about the pickup of Woolen to come in here and be the CB2 of 2026, and apparently not beyond. So that so far is what's been going on in Eagle Land when it comes to the free agent moves. And, of course, around the NFL, the Max Crosby drama, going to the Ravens, not going to the Ravens. Now Hendricks is going to the Ravens, and Max Crosby sitting with the Raiders. Is Howie trying to pull off a trade for him? I'd be all in for that, man. And I'm telling you, I proposed this trade way back when. Now, I don't know. Obviously, they're not going to trade off of Jalen Hurts. Unfortunately, they ain't going to make me that happy. But going ahead and maybe moving A.J. Brown and a draft pick out to Las Vegas for Max Crosby and a draft pick, I would be okay with that. I would actually be all in on that. But who knows what's going on with the Max Crosby thing? He failed the physical out there in Baltimore, nullifying the trade as the Ravens backed out, and was returned to the Raiders. Now, are the Raiders going to try to trade him again? Apparently, there are people talking about it. There's people going back and forth about it. The Eagles were inquiring allegedly about Max Crosby and a trade potentially with the Raiders. Again, if we can do some addition by subtraction here, I'd be all in, because Max Crosby is definitely a game changer along that defensive line. Jordan Davis, of course, with the contract extension. Say what you will about that. Interior run stopper, that's pretty much all he is. He did show some durability progress in 2025. He got better when it came to being able to sort of hang around the whole season. I don't know if that was worth the 3 years that he got and the money he got, but I'm not necessarily upset about that move. This is a stability move. It's keeping some continuity along that defensive line. I'm okay with all that. But as far as the Max Crosby thing, what's going to happen with that? And, of course, A.J. Brown, what's going to come out of that? So all that stuff is still ongoing as we have entered the official first day of NFL free agency. It is now on like Donkey Kong. Trades, free agency signings, all that stuff can happen at will as of 4 p.m. this afternoon. So Eagles, I'm okay with the moves. I'm okay with the subtractions, 100%. I'm not shedding a tear for any of them that got moved. Kobe Dean, game changer. Just not enough there for me to invest the future in a guy that's not shown the capability of staying on the field. Brent Toff, Matt Pryor, say what you want about Matt Pryor, but for a 6th-round pick, I think we got every ounce of talent out of him. And I actually have him graded as a hit on my Howie Roseman You Suck draft tracker. So, I want to give him a hit on that. But not shedding a tear with Toff or Pryor, not shedding a tear for Nakobe Dean, and I'm not shedding a tear for Reed Blankenship. Again, if he's a player that you can utilize his skill set for manageable money, absolutely. But the minute you got to pay this guy big time money, I'm out, man. I'm out, because what he brings is a dime a dozen. I'm sorry. He brings a dime a dozen to an NFL football team, and perhaps he gave a little bit more because of the system he was playing. And we'll find out how he does in Houston. So I'm definitely okay with some of the subtractions, all the subtractions. A little puzzled by the additions. Grant Calcaterra, is he the latest Eagle player who has pictures of Howie and Nick Sirianni? Why he got brought back, really don't know. Is it a continuity move? Johnny Munn, again, another 1-year tight end, let's stick a finger in the dam type of move. And then, of course, Woolen, the DB, who about 2 years ago was really, really something else, but now he's really something else. So, and again, another stick a finger in the dam, throw a Band-Aid over the CB2 problem, as he's only going to be here for 1 year at $15 million. Is Howie Roseman tipping his hand? Is Howie Roseman going full Dave Dombrowski? Once you go full Dave Dombrowski, you can never go back. You know that, right? So is he tipping his hand? Is he revealing that the Eagles are going high on tight end? And is he revealing the Eagles are going high on DB? But I don't know if you need these moves to tell you that. We all have eyes. It's obviously 2 positions of great need on this football team. So here's my Eagles rant for the last 31 minutes. And let's go to the phones here. Let's bring in our main man, Ricky Deal. Ricky, how you been, man? What's going on?
I am good.
Very good to hear that from you tonight, Ricky. What's on your mind?
And go Flyers.
Ricky Deal giving me the obligatory "Let's Go Flyer" chant. 2-1, by the way, Ricky Deal, as we're getting ready for third period action down there at the arena. I will have you with the Clear the Ice after the completion of this show. Ricky Deal, we're gonna talk a little bit later on the show. I may have to make an executive decision, a decision that I've had to make far too often when it comes to Clear the Ice and the start of the Philly season. I know you're saying "Let's Go Flyers." If they can hang on to win this game and move into that 70-point threshold, that makes people feel a little bit better. But Ricky, I have a feeling that we're beyond the point of no return. I think the Eagles or Flyers are going to maybe not completely fall apart down the stretch, but I think the mountain's too high to climb for this team right now. And I think, unfortunately, we're looking at 6 straight years of no playoffs, and that sucks.
Take extreme care to avoid self-injection.
Thoughts on that, Ricky?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Ricky, there's just too many holes on this team. Too many holes. I know they went out and they signed one of their draft picks today to his ELC, Noah Powell, the much maligned right winger who started his collegiate career out in Ohio State, then left Ohio State for the CHL. Now he's back with now he signs ZLC. We'll see what he can bring. It's an infusion of youth. I don't really expect much from Noah, but they made the trade. The trade deadline, I haven't really had an opportunity to get too much into the trade deadline. We talked about it last week on Clear the Ice momentarily. Ricky, there's just too much going on. There's just too many holes with this team for me, man. I can't get excited about them right now. Ricky, you there? All right, my man. Listen, tomorrow night, Ricky, be back for the final episode of the week. All right, man? Ricky Deal. I don't know what's going on with the Flyers, man. I said this last week during the Clear the Ice program. Were they buyers? No. Were they sellers? No. I mean, that's what's frustrating me the most about this whole rebuild. Not the rebuild in its essence. I understand what a rebuild is. I understand what it means. But there doesn't seem to be a direction for the Flyers rebuild, or every direction that they decide to go to, there's a roadblock in the way. Either they misjudged the free agency situation and didn't realize that the NHL was going to up the salary cap in season. So now they're staring at a situation this summer where there's a boatload of money to be spent by the Flyers, 4th most in the NHL. But there's not really any players out there that fit the Flyer timeline because they've all been re-signed already in season. How can the team consistently operate with no true number one centerman? It befuddles me. We go in season after season, game after game with not a true centerman, on a true number one centerman. I mean, we got one or two centermen, but we don't have an actual number one centerman. Our defense is a bunch of, decent players. No Eric Desjardins. Again, I've said this before. Until Danny B says enough's enough, win, lose, or draw, I'm going all in with the trade. I'm going both guns blaring. I'm doing a John LeClair trade. I'm sending a popular offensive player. In that case, it would have been Mark Recchi, of course. But in this case, it should be somebody like Travis Konecny. And I'm sending him to a team for the next John LeClair, Eric Desjardins, until something like that happens. And I'm also going to draft an actual center that actually works. Until that happens, man, it's just going to be season after season after season of this middle of the road, 1 step forward, 2 step back nonsense. And that's not no way to that ain't a way to build a rebuild, man. That's scuttling. That's accepting your position in the world. I can't, man. I can't. What talent do we have on this team? What talent do we have in the minors, man? Well, we spent a lot of time talking about prospects. A lot of time on this show. Going over this guy, that guy. Alex Bump, great to see him get his first goal and get his opportunity. Why did they bring in David Urich? I don't understand. Is Oliver Bonk never going to play for this hockey team? They're constantly blocking people's spots, or maybe Oliver Bonk is not ready to play for this. I don't know, but Oliver Bonk sits in the minors, a defensive prospect who's getting now, one, you don't trade Risto, which I don't understand that, because even if you don't get max value for the guy, even if you're not going to get what you think you can get back 100%, this was probably the season that you could get back a smattering of what he was worth based on what he did with the Finland U.S. National team in the Olympics. Based on the fact that for relatively the entire season, he's been healthy. You had just no better window of opportunity to move off of him. And you got Oliver Bonk sitting down there in the minors. Again, you take the roadblock away for Bonk, you trade Risto, and then, okay, you bring Urich in, who's a right-hand defenseman. That's fine. That's a 1-for-1. But it's another reclamation project like Jamie Drysdale was. I just don't get it. I don't get the philosophically of this. I'm having trouble with it, man. So, I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited. What happens first? Goddard back or Brown traded? Brown traded. Goddard's not coming back, man. My cousin's birthday. Well, happy birthday to your cousin. They do not. Happy birthday to you, little G. Do you think Todd gets fired for one season? I do not, because that would show panic on the Flyers' part. But you know what? 26-27. We've said it before that that's the season everyone's circled on their calendar with the salary cap issues pretty much underhand. We're going to lose another contract. Is Brzaloff's, I think, deal falls off the books this year. Ryan Ellis is off the books. We got money. We got nowhere to spend it, but we got the money. They should be active in the trade market. If they're not active in the trade market, and I mean, again, going to that Eric Lindros, or not Eric, but that John LeClaire level type trade, if that does not happen some point this summer, and if we go into the season with relatively the same team, with the addition of Porter Martone, and still with Vladar and Urson as our goaltending tandem, if they decide to do that, and we get to this point again next year, and we're sitting at the same exact 70, 71, 69 point plateau in March, Danny Barrere's ass is on the hot seat. There's no way to justify him sticking around, because we got a GM that's scared to do anything. All right. And that's becoming sort of clear here. So I don't think Tockett's going to get fired after one season. But if they go ahead and fire Barrere and Jones at the end of next year, then by de facto, Tocchet would probably get fired too. So no, to answer your question, I do not think Tocchet gets fired after the season. And I think Rick Tocchet has received unjust criticism from people outside the team who don't know hockey from handball. All right. I know that there's been a lot of criticism about Tocchet's handling of Matt V. Michkov. Well, this is now the second coach that has had problems dealing with Matt V. Michkov, right? Tortorella wasn't the biggest Matt V. Michkov fan either. So at what point do we start blaming the player here than the coach, right? At what point do we start looking inwards at the team and saying, well, maybe there's a problem with the player if we're having multiple coaches now dealing with the same issues from the same player? So I'm not buying in on that Tocchet Michkov stuff, that he's stifling Michkov's blossoming, because Tortorella was given the same criticism. At what point do we start looking inwards at the player and saying this guy's just not what we thought he was going to be? But no, answer your question, Adam, I don't think he gets fired after 1 year. Beyond washed up. I could be more productive on the ice than him. I would be more of a spectacle on the ice than Sean Couturier, right? People would notice me because I'd be sliding, falling everywhere, and every time somebody skates by me, I'd be jumping up on the boards. I'd be more of a spectacle out there than Coots is. Didn't know. Well, awesome, man. Good stuff, little G. Joe, call in. Joe did call in. Ricky, get off his back. Let's get back to the phone lines for the aforementioned Joe Hale. Joe, what's up?
Yeah. Everybody wants to bash Aaron Nola. Go ahead.
Pitching his ass off tonight.
Dominant start tonight.
Yes, he did.
He looks like the Aaron Nola of old before his phantom injury.
What exactly about Aaron Nola tonight looked like the Aaron Nola of old for you? What was he doing that made you think that?
His stuff was moving.
Yeah, he was working that curveball. He's working all sides of that plate. Fastball is only touching 94. I don't know. Listen, I've said this before. We've seen pitchers in their life go from 98 down to 94 with their fastball and still survive because they can master the other pitches. Aaron Nola seemed little less confident to rely on his breaking stuff.
My point?
Yeah, sure.
It's extended spring training for Aaron Nola, basically.
Oh, yeah. Weren't you anti-WBC, Joe?
I said Nola would pitch good.
Yeah, but didn't you fall into the category of people that said don't send our players to the WBC because it could, be detrimental?
Yes.
Well, right now it's not looking so detrimental for Aaron Nola. Bryce Harper is looking detrimental. Holy Christ, Bryce Harper stinks.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about Harper. I want to talk about Mr. I got the bet. Mr. A.J. Brown's going to be on the Eagles. I can see that. I can see him staying. I can see Goddard coming back. But
can you see rainbows and leprechauns riding in on unicorns, saying hi to Bigfoot too, Joe? Because that's exactly what you were sounding like.
Yes. Also, I can also see the Eagles going after a Max Crosby, trading Jalen Carter. Oh, yes, I admit. I went Max Crosby instead of Jalen Carter.
So you're not concerned about him failing the physical with the Ravens?
They said, did he or didn't he? Because before you answer that, didn't the Ravens fleece us with the trade?
Refresh my memory, Joe.
The Hero Alexander deal?
Oh, yeah. Oh, because he retired like 2 days later?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. But here's the deal. Okay, I can hear what you're saying, but what I heard was there was something that didn't look too kosher in the MRI. That's what I was told, or I read.
I heard it was a leg injury.
They saw something when they looked deeper into it that didn't sit well with the Ravens.
But he's back at practice. But so
yeah.
The Nakobe deal is not official yet. I'm going to tell you why. The Raiders need to clear salary cap. Max Crosby is a big hit. I just read that on ESPN.
Well, I'd have to look that up because to me, when I think Vegas Raiders maxed out on the salary cap is not what immediately pops into my mind. All right, they got what? Bowers, him, and who else that they're maxed out on? Like, who else in that team are they paying top end money to? Now, you might be right. I haven't looked at their stat track.
The Geno Smith deal that they got, Raiders own half of that money.
Yeah, that's a dead hit, right? That's a cap hit.
Yeah, they traded them to that. Yes.
Well, again, still, I just have a problem thinking that a team that put out that product of football over the past 15 years has salary cap issues on the maximum side. I can see maybe under. They can't get to the minimum of the cap, but I just don't look at the Raiders as a cap strap franchise. And if they are, they're in a lot worse trouble than I thought they were in.
They're 7.5 over the cap, and that was on ESPN today.
Man, who's running the show out there? Big Al? Is Big Al the GM of the Raiders, man?
Flyers just scored 3-1.
3-1, third period. Again, at the end of the show, I will be doing a twofer here with Clear the Ice.
It looks like Drysdale. I'm watching it. I'm not sure. I know Seegers had a good goal earlier in the game.
9-1, bottom of the eighth. Team Italy is over Mexico. It looks all but Bottom line, Joe, that the Team USA is going to the quarterfinals of WBC. What is your opinion on Mark DeRosa and his mismanagement of the team's lineup and pitching rotation last night against Italy? And do you believe, because he made the comment earlier in the day yesterday that we're already in the quarterfinals, we punched our ticket. But then he walked that back in the press conference at the end of the game, saying, "Oh, that's not what I meant. Yeah, I know we hadn't."
I think.
Do you think he knew? Do you think he believed they were going to the quarterfinals?
No. Yes and no. I think
he totally believed it.
I think it was bullshit what he said.
You think it was what?
Complete bullshit what he said
about knowing that the team didn't go to the quarterfinals.
I think it's complete bullshit.
Joe, he sat 3 of his starters, and he went with a pitching rotation last night that featured a Mets rookie and Nolan McLean and Ryan Yarbo, who I didn't even know was still pitching in Major League Baseball. And at one point, Joe Hale, friggin' what's his name, Kershaw, was warming up in the bullpen. Old man Kershaw was warming up to come into that game last night before somebody must have tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, man, we're not in the quarterfinals. We're down 8-1. You need to get on the stick here." And then all of a sudden they put Mason Miller in.
So when would USA play next?
It's tomorrow or Saturday. Not tomorrow. Friday or Saturday. Quarterfinals start Friday. And right now it looks like USA is playing Canada in the first round.
Is it what is it? Single loss elimination?
Everything from this point forward is single game elimination.
Are you ready for this? USA versus Japan in a final.
That's what everyone's been hoping for. I agree. And I don't think what Italy's been doing the last 2 nights, smoke and mirrors. They played a team in the U.S. who thought they had already advanced, so they were sitting everybody. And they're beating up on a Mexico team that's not that good.
I'm going to give you some breaking news. You know how Scobel left USA camp, right?
He wants to come back.
A pitch in a final, he said.
He wants to come back, yep.
And Skeens is going to pitch.
Well, listen, that's what my rotation would be. If I could get Scooble to come back or convince the Tigers to let him come back for one more game, I would start the game. Probably would start with Scooble and then go to Skeens in the 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, they said he's going to come back.
Yeah.
And the injury bug bit the Sixers again.
Yeah, well, who cares?
I care because I'm meeting and beating Maxie. But
are you going to give them your condolences for a tough fought season down the tubes?
I don't think they're done yet. I think they're going to get no play game.
So, Joe, let me ask you this as a Sixers fan and as a Philadelphia sports fan. And I know we're all this town. We're a whole different breed of fan. I get that. What is your definition of a successful season?
If it's for the Sixers, the playoffs. They at least have to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
Get out of the first round.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Isn't this and again, I mean no disrespect, Joe. I love you, and you're a very firm member of this network, and I appreciate your contributions. But isn't that kind of a loser mentality that people pull success from essentially losing?
I don't think they have the team to make it.
That's my point. So if they don't win a championship, to me, regardless of who it is, in any of the sports, that's not a successful season.
It's a complete failure. They need to get rid of. Yeah. I'm telling you, they need to get rid of Daryl Morey.
I heard his name is. I heard somebody was attached to him. I heard a name pop up a couple days ago about maybe taking over for him as president and then bringing in an actual GM.
Was it the guy from who was it? Golden State that everybody wants.
What's his name?
I forget. I will look it up and I'll.
Is it Murray or something like that?
Murray.
Yeah, that's the Murray. I think was his last name. That I heard that the Sixers were that his name was linked to the Sixers, or Sixers are linked to him, or he's linked to them, and then he's going to come in here, which I fully support. I fully support autonomy from each position. I think that's what's doing the Phillies when you have the same guy essentially making all the calls with Dombrowski, even though he has a GM. But I don't know what Preston Manley really. I think Preston Manley, all he does is involves himself with the minors. And then, of course, you out there with the Sixers, you got Daryl. Elton Brand is probably the luckiest man. Elton Brand does nothing. Nothing.
I got a feeling for you.
What?
Maybe you can answer this. Why isn't Rojas suspended yet?
They have not. Maybe it's still pending. I had totally forgotten about that. It's not come down yet. He appealed it, right?
Yes, but what is taking them so long?
I don't know. The appeal process. I don't know.
Are they all at the WBC?
No. The MLB is still working their thing. Again, appeal success, who cares? Appeal failure, who cares? I don't really care. I really don't.
So, if you look on MLB, they put out the Phillies 26 roster, 25. They got the kid that they took from the Rule 5 draft on the roster for now.
McCamby?
Yes. He's a bullpen piece.
Mm-hmm.
Does he get sent down when Wheeler comes back? Because they want to keep, they're high on Painter. Andrew the Great is in spring. He looked good. He's looking good in spring training already.
He's looked good in his 3 starts now. He's looked good in, yeah.
He starts Saturday, by the way.
So as far as McCamby getting sent down if Wheeler gets back, Joe, I got to wait and see how the season sort of pans out here. I'm not money. Ultimately, I think money drives the train here, and Taijuan Walker still has 1 more year left on his contract. They're going to find a place for him on this baseball team. If it's not in the rotation, he's going to be coming out of the bullpen.
Walker in the bullpen.
I've 100%, absolutely. I think he's a great middle guy. I honestly do. And in a pinch, he can give you some back end stuff too, because he throws hard. But I think that obviously he would be the first option to go to the bullpen, and then somebody else would have to go down in his stay. So yeah, it probably would be him, at least for 1 more year until we get through the Walker contract.
I'm going to give you an update on Zach Wheeler. He threw batting practice yesterday. Yeah,
I'm hearing that he might be coming back sometime in April. There's a potential that they may activate him, not for opening day, but sometime in April, like maybe a few weeks ahead.
Yeah. I heard. So.
Well, Joe, the Fighting's final comes back on March 22nd at 2 p.m. So we'll be here.
I asked somebody, and nobody would give me an answer.
What was the question?
Is it live or no? And I'm going to...
Yes, the show will be live.
Oh, because he didn't know.
Yeah, the only time we do taped Fighting's finals is the review one at the end of the season because, typically the reason I started doing that was a filler for Thanksgiving. What we'll do is we'll tape it and then air it on Thanksgiving Day. Kind of give you some baseball on Thanksgiving. That was the reason.
A good point. There's no games on Thanksgiving Eve this coming year. It's on Thanksgiving.
I saw somebody where they were trying to fit that in. Here's an interesting point too for you, Joe. Was it the Rams and the 49ers are going to Australia to start the season? Is that the first game that they're playing in Australia?
I believe so.
Well, the NFL is toying with the idea because of the traveling situation between the United States and Australia. In order to give them an extra day coming back, they're going to actually start the season and give that Australia game a Wednesday night start time, which would then put Seattle, who's supposed to open the season because they're the defending champs, coming on Thursday night. So the NFL would actually go with a game to start the year that would not feature the Super Bowl champion. Does that bother you?
No.
That doesn't bother me either.
So when does the schedule get released? And then I'll let you go. Because I know
mid-May.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
We'll talk tomorrow, Joe.
Yep.
Joe Hale. Joe Hale with his optimism self. Yeah, I think the McCamby thing, anybody really other than Taijuan Walker's your first alternate to the bullpen when Wheeler returns. I really do believe that. And only because of the money, only because of the money. But Star Wars reporting in that it looks like the U.S. will advance, and that's good. They dodged a bullet. And yes, I feel 100% convicted that Mark DeRosa thought yesterday morning, prior to the game against the Italians, that Team USA had punched their ticket to the quarterfinals after beating Mexico. Because apparently large parts of his roster went out and partied that night and were unavailable. I think the exact quote was they were crawling on Wednesday morning. So that's the Buxton sitting, the Harper sitting, the decision to play Goldschmidt. Why is Paul Goldschmidt on this team? Boggles my mind. What the hell is Paul Goldschmidt doing playing for Team USA? And then going with the rotation of Nolan McLean, who may at one point become that guy, but he ain't that guy yet. And then Ryan Yarbrough, who I thought retired the year after Tom Glavine retired. I had no idea Ryan Yarbrough was still pitching in Major League Baseball. So then going down 8-1, someone must have tapped him on the shoulder in the 7th inning and said, "Hey, man, what are you doing? We're not in anything." And then you look down at the bullpen, and there's old man Kershaw without a hat on, warming up like he's getting ready to go in and his 45-mile-an-hour fastball. Listen, if our manager, is he telling Rob Thompson, "I'll hold your beer" when it comes to managerial decisions? I'm scared, man. I'm scared. Apparently, also, I heard today, Mark DeRosa showed up at the stadium in Houston in full USA baseball uniform. He thought they were playing today. Oh, man. I don't know, man. You can't make this stuff up. And God forbid if they did not get in, if the things didn't break right tonight. And kudos to Aaron Nola. Kudos to Jack Taglioni and the rest of Team Italy for putting down the dying dog that is the Mexican baseball team. But God forbid if they didn't get in, DeRosa would never ever be able to live that down. That would dog him the rest of his life. That nonsense yesterday. But it looks like the Team USA dodged a bullet here, and they will move on to the quarterfinals either on Friday or Saturday night. I believe it's against Canada. So let's hope we learned our lesson, and someone remind DeRosa that you got to win to advance, right? That's the policy now. So let's get back to the phone lines. And Mike Lauro, what the hell are you doing here, man?
Hey, man, listen, I was listening to you. I wanted to jump on. I was listening to Joe Hale, and, the whole thing with the Raiders, holy cow, bro. Like, the Raiders are 7th right now in the league in salary cap space right now. They're roughly, says right here, they're roughly going in was about $40 million in cap space.
How could the Raiders be capped out with the type of football they play?
They do have a lot of dead cap space money. They got like $52 million in dead cap money. So, I mean, he was right and he was wrong, but I don't think it's going to affect the Nakobe Dean signing at all. I think because they not only did they sign Nakobe Dean, they also signed was it Trey Walker too?
Yeah,
from the Packers. So I mean, they're going to have they're building up that defense out there because really the offense is going to be, they're probably going to draft Mendoza number 1. Ashton Genty's only going to be a second-year guy, and let's be honest, other than their tight end, they don't really have any wide receivers to throw to unless they go out and pluck some of these, some of these people that are
terrible offensive line.
Oh God, yeah. Richie Incognito is not coming out of retirement to save them this time. But
bad situation out in Vegas.
It is. Yeah, you know what I was looking at, MattyB? These international games, right? You were talking about the San Francisco 49ers and the Rams, right? Opening up in Australia. Here's a funny thing about this. Literally, you can have it Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Because don't forget, because the Dallas Cowboys are hosting somebody in Rio.
On Friday, right?
On Friday. But here's the thing. The 49ers have 2. They're the only – them and the Jaguars are the only 2 teams that have 2 international games. But
Niners are going to Mexico as well, right?
Yes, Mexico City. So here's something you got to think about, okay? The Eagles have an extra home game, okay? The Eagles are going to be – the last time they had an extra home game, they were playing in one of these games. I don't think the
Brazil.
NFL is going to give them 9 games. So again, like if I'm looking at these teams, right, these are all home games, I think, right, for the other teams. But I'm wondering if the Eagles, if one of their away games is going to be like that's they go to San Francisco. Could you see them possibly playing San Francisco in Mexico City? Now they don't play the Falcons, the Saints, or the Lions, so they won't go to Paris, Madrid, or Munich. But they do play Jacksonville. They do play the 49ers, and they also play the Cowboys. But I don't think they would do Eagles Cowboys.
No, they wouldn't do that.
From Rio. But that I think that would be cool though if they did that, because that would be a Cowboys home game. So that means the Cowboys would have to come.
Well,
back
that's why
here.
they wouldn't do it. They're not going to take a home game away from either one of those and have that game, because it could potentially be a conference or a division deciding game at some point.
That's
this
why.
season.
That's why I'm scratching my head at the opener with San Francisco and LA
Yeah,
being there.
that's a good point.
Like that's an NFC game. It's a divisional game.
Yep.
So that's going to count. Like, and again, teams don't start being teams until at least week 4.
Let me ask you, Mike, do you think the NFL is getting a little bit too greedy with this international thing?
Yes, I think they are. I think they're trying to put a division in Europe. I think we'll see a division in Europe within the next 5 years. I really do, because they trademarked all the old NFL Europe names, just in case. So those names are already trademarked. So if they have to put a team there and throw a name on them, they can throw one of the old NFL Europe names on them. Another place to watch out for too is Toronto. Toronto's also been vying for an NFL team as well. But where the hell would you stick them? Like, they would have to go in some North division somewhere.
No, I can put them in the AFC North. I could put them in the AFC East and move Miami out of there.
Yeah. You could probably do it. And I think that would be a great rivalry too.
Buffalo and Toronto.
Buffalo and Toronto. That would be a great rivalry. But yeah, I'm looking at that. I can definitely see them trying to do. I don't think Mexico City's got a snowball's chance in hell in getting a team. Same thing with like Rio or Melbourne. But I can definitely see the 4 Europe teams being put into a division like what they have right now. They have London, Paris, Munich. I don't know about Madrid. I think that would go back and forth between either Madrid or Ireland. I think it would go back and forth between those two. But yeah, I just thought it was real interesting seeing that, the Jaguars, there's 3 London games this year. The Jaguars host 2, the Reds or Washington host the other one.
Probably going. Do you think they leave Jacksonville out there 2 straight weeks?
Yeah, they are. They're there back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they did that last year, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Actually, Minnesota was the road team. Minnesota stayed out there. They played 2 road games last year. Yeah. They were in Dublin to play the Steelers, and then the next week they were in London to play Jacksonville. So
now I do that. 2 road games. Yeah, I do that.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What are you feeling about the Eagles' free agency period so far?
Yeah, I opened the show with that. I'm not shedding a tear over any of the losses, honestly. Nakobe Dean, yeah, I mean, he's a difference maker when he's on the field. The problem is you can't commit big money in big years to a player who's not demonstrated the potential to stay on the field. And it's a smart decision. It's a no-brainer. He is a game changer, but there's just too much uncertainty about his injuries. Blankenship, again, for what he was being paid for here with the Eagles and what he provided them, 100% a steal as a UDFA, but I couldn't see giving him a bag. I couldn't. I think his skill set is a dime a dozen. They can draft that. They can scoop that off of another UDFA, or they can find another veteran out there that would give them the same amount, if not better than what Blankenship provided. So as far as them two, I'm not upset. Dotson leaving, who knows? What the freak did he ever do here? And maybe that's one of the problems with this Eagle offense is that they just didn't get enough people involved, and we don't even know what we had in Jawan Dotson. And now he's going to go off with what's he in Atlanta now? He's going to go off
in Atlanta. But I'll tell you
what,
guy. Listen, I will sign off that the Eagles didn't use Jahan Dotson right. I watched that kid play 4 years at Penn State. Watched him play there, and trust me, they did not use him well at all. So I'm right there with you. I'm not mad that Nakobe went and got a bag. His best ability is his availability, and he's been banged up. and let's keep it real. He was here 4 years. 2 of those years were good, but he was hurt those years as well. Reed, again, I agree everything what you said with Reed, even with Jahan Dotson, don't going there, and going to Atlanta. I'm wondering how that's going to be. I mean, because they just took, not only did they take Dotson, they also got Zacchaeus back, Olamide Zacchaeus, who was with the Eagles a few years ago. So he resigned there. So they're trying to build something up, I guess, because, Tua's going there now. So that's probably going to be Penix's backup.
And now, as far as Matt Pryor and Brett Toff go, they're actually the same people, But listen,
Matt Pryor's
but for a 6th-round draft pick, the Eagles squeezed every little last bit out of Matt Pryor that Matt Pryor could provide. And,
listen,
Matt Pryor's best asset was availability, too. He was always there. Might not have been the greatest option, but he was there and never seen him get hurt. Now, as far as some of the players we brought here, you're never going to explain to me why Grant Calcaterra is back. I'm having a hard time wrapping
strictly depth.
It's depth and continuity, probably.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be your 3rd tight end. And I wanted to talk about that. I love the signing of Johnny Munt. I love the signing of it. This dude is a blocking tight end, but guess what? He's got really good hands, too. He's got really, really good hands, man. And, when they signed him, I was like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? Because I watched him when he was in Minnesota. And, again, he was a 2nd tight end to Hockenson. And, the dude was getting about 5-6 touchdowns a year, for Minnesota. So, again, I think he can catch the ball. He's definitely going to help out in the run game. I like the kid that they got from Seattle, Reek. I like him. I do like him. I just think he's got more potential upside. Again, too, like a lot of Seattle fans were kind of putting videos up about him getting burned in the, him getting burned in the NFC title game against the Rams. But a lot of people don't realize is Clint Hurt, who's the Eagles line coach, was his defensive coordinator when that kid was rookie of the year. So when he was playing really good. And so I think him getting reunited with him coming in under this defense. And plus, too, you know what? He's on a prove-it deal. You know what I mean? He couldn't get what he wanted in the open market. They gave him a year. So he's going to be, right out there, trying to prove himself. So I like the 3 moves that they made so far. I'd like to see him re-sign Dallas Goedert, just give him a 2-year deal and then draft his replacement.
So as far as the rest of those guys, Calcaterra, Munt, and Woolton, they're puzzling moves to me because there's no commitment to the position, right? We got two tight ends coming in on 1-year deals. So is Howie tipping his hand a la Dave Dombrowski telling the entire NFL, yeah, I'm drafting a tight end because I'm thinking and dunking with these 2 backups. As far as the DB goes, former All-Pro, but he's sort of regressed ever since that he was an All-Pro. Once again, though, what the hell is the problem what's the aversion of signing somebody or bringing in a long-term answer at CB2? All right, we're once again, we're throwing a Band-Aid over a problem. Now, granted, it's a better Band-Aid than the Dory Jackson and Keely Ringo and whoever the hell else they threw out there, last year. But it's still just a Band-Aid. Is he tipping his hand again, saying I'm going DB high in the draft? I just don't understand the aversion of not locking down CB2. Quinyon Mitchell is now, entering year 3. He has yet to really have a viable partner back there with the exception of Darius Slay the first year. But since then, he hasn't had anybody he can sit here and grow with and become long-term. There's nothing wrong with the days of Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent and Lito Shepard. There's nothing wrong with having a lockdown back end of your defense long-term. And I don't understand the aversion of doing that here. And again, is Howie tipping his hand? Because I'm not concerned about Keely Ringo. There is no replacement here in the wings. There's no draft pick that's waiting to take over the job at CB2. We already know that. Those guys don't exist on this football team currently. So the only other way to do that is to once again tip your hand saying I'm going high on DBs because I'm going with another Band-Aid option here and I have nothing behind him. So I'm definitely going to have to draft somebody. So my concern for the tight ends and the defensive back is that it's again another Band-Aid and how he's tipping his hand in the draft to the other team saying, you know where I'm headed with my draft picks.
Well, I would agree with that if they re-sign Dallas Goedert. If they don't re-sign Dallas Goedert, I don't believe that at all. I think they're going to take one of their third-round comp picks, and I think they're going to try to take that in the 23rd and try to move up to go get the kid Sadiq out of Washington or out of Oregon.
Joe Hess says he loves the Eagles' move so far. I love the corner they signed. Again, Joe, is he a better option? 100%. But beyond this year, $15 million, as Mike says, he's on a prove-it deal. He's gone after this season. He's not coming back. He could have an all-pro season. Eagles ain't bringing him back. He's going to want $30 million. So it's a one-year prove-it deal, and once again, the position is left in flux. So I'm not loving that. I'm not loving the Band-Aid situation. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he's a better player.
He is a better player. And another name too to keep out and keep lookout for is Denzel Ward. He's been linked with trade talks with the Eagles. I could see that happening on draft day as well.
Right.
Because there's now a thing now that with the Eagles that I'm hearing that in their base defense, Cooper DeJean is going to play safety. It's going to be him and Andrew. It's going to be him and Makuba playing safety, which I'm all for. If that's where they want to put Cooper, that's fine. You know, if they go 3 wide, then you can move him down. But if they get a guy like Denzel Ward, say like at the trade deadline, if Cleveland's not doing so hot, which I don't believe that they're going to be because their defense is taking a hit this year. They also lost Jim Schwartz. Okay. So again, I'm looking to see what he's going to do to add. Like I said, just keep a lookout for that name with Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward would be a great number 2 here. He'd be like a 1A, to be honest with you. I'm very high on Denzel Ward, have been since he came out of college. So I feel like if they could get somebody like him here, you can lock them up. You would have those 3 guys for at least 5 years because I think Ward just signed a deal with Cleveland within the last year or two, and I think it was like a 4 or 5 year deal. So they would have him for at least a couple of years while they draft somebody this year and kind of, get them behind, get their, his replacement coming up. He would be here for a few.
So James chimes in and says, I think we've gotten much worse, or I don't think we've gotten much worse or worse at all. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, James. But the problem is that's not what this is about. It's about getting better. 9 draft picks, whether or not how he uses all 9 of them.
I don't think he does. And especially now with the comps too. Yeah. Like, I mean, they got 2 thirds, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and a 6th round. So, I mean, I think they may take some and try to trade back in. I think Howie will try to leverage some for next year. Also, the A.J. Brown trade, I think that's probably going to be a little later than sooner. A lot of people are thinking that's going to be sooner. What's giving it me vibes is there was a $20 million cap hit that was supposed to go today for Dallas Goedert. And even though he's a free agent, it was a $20 million dead cap that was supposed to hit for them. Him and the Eagles pushed that off until Friday. So yeah. I don't know if there is going to be a A.J. Brown deal between then and now, or if there's going to be a Dallas Goedert re-signing, which that money can go in.
First official day of free agency. We got a long road to go through all this. So, I mean, is it starting out better than it did last year? I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. We signed 11 players last year in free agency. And
how many of them worked out?
Right, exactly. So, I mean,
none.
And as far as the Max Crosby thing, guy, I'm going to let you know now. Guess what? Oakland just shot themselves. Las Vegas. They're not going to get a 1st round pick for him.
Yeah.
They will be lucky to get a 3, because if you have a team doctor, now granted, all team doctors are different, but you have a team pulling out and reneging, and then they go out and sign the second best guy the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And how do you feel if you're Cincinnati right now? Okay, you're watching your best defensive pass rusher leave your defense, which was probably the only consistent guy on your defense, and he goes to a division rival.
Now, I wonder if Hendricks was not available. Do the Ravens still part ways with Crosby?
Yeah, I think so. I think they looked at it. I think they saw something in that imaging, and his timetable to begin like being fully healthy is going to be like right around the end of training camp, getting ready to go into the season. So that's what they're looking. So I guess they probably saw something they didn't like, and they were going to give up to. I think it was a first and a third. I think it was.
Yeah,
for
it was
him.
a big deal. It was a big move. It was definitely a career, a franchise-altering move for the Ravens.
And they probably just looked at it and went, "Nah, not for a guy who's coming off this injury. We don't know if he's going to have a relapse in his." They're like, "Yeah, it's just too much to risk." So they pulled the trade back. It's kind of like what Frank Gore. It's kind of like what Frank Gore did to the Eagles back when Chip Kelly was coach.
Yeah, said, "I ain't signing here. I renege. I'm going somewhere else."
Well, did you? I actually saw I think it was a TikTok clip of him explaining what happened. He was good friends with Jeremy Maclin, and he was getting ready to come. He was just getting ready. He was either getting ready to sign the deal with the Eagles, or started to sign the deal with the Eagles, and heard that Maclin left to go to Kansas City. Shady got traded at the deadline. Oh, it was Deshaun Jackson got traded to Cleveland.
No, he got cut. No, Deshaun Jackson got cut.
That's what it was. They cut Deshaun Jackson. He left and ended up going to Washington.
Yep.
He's like, he turned around. He said, "Oh, hell no." He's like, "I'm not going there now." He said, "Absolutely not." He said, "No." He said, "No." He said, that's why he changed his mind and was like, "Nah, I'll go here instead." So it was pretty interesting. All right, man. Well, listen, I'm going to pop off because I know you got to get ready to do your other duty. I will see you guys.
Clear the ice. Yeah, you got Thursday, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Saturday, I will be enjoying a friend's 50th birthday. Oh, by the way, Matty, I'm actually my former boss passed away yesterday, so I'm actually going to dedicate the Clear the Ice to him tomorrow. Even though he was a Phillies fan, he was a major Philly sports fan. Phillies were his first love. But yeah, I'm going to dedicate the show to him tomorrow. I just got the word. So I'll be doing a funeral or viewing Friday and then a 50th birthday party on Saturday. So yeah, Mike's got a busy weekend. And then I'm here with you fine folks.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
So all right, Mike, we'll talk.
You got it, buddy. Be good.
All right. There you go. Now he's off. Mike Laro, everybody, joining in. Joe asked about thoughts on Jordan Davis resigning. I said this at the top of the show. I thought it was one of those no-brainer type decisions. A big run stopper in the middle. I don't think you're going to get much more out of him than that, which is totally fine. Which I think the one big thing that was the big selling point or tipping point in order for him to get that extension was he showed some improvement in his durability, right? He showed some improvement in his conditioning and was able to last the whole season. So no-brainer decision there by the Eagles to re-sign him. You never can have enough plugs in the middle of that line. So, no-brainer for me. But, all right. Yeah, so 4-1 Flyers did win. We ran a little late again tonight. I knew we would. I'm not going to do of the night. I'm not going to do card, but we'll get to it tomorrow. I promise. We'll do it tomorrow. I've done a card segment in a hot minute, but it's here. It's already in the queue. I can see it. I'm looking at it right now. So we'll get to it tomorrow. I'm sorry for false advertising yet again. Somebody's going to stop me. I'm out of control. But all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up. But do not go anywhere because I am coming right back in a matter of 40 seconds with Clear the Ice. Flyers 4-1 winners tonight at the arena against the Washington Capitals. I'll have a major announcement as it pertains to the future of Clear the Ice, and we'll have some fun. So stay tuned for Clear the Ice coming at you in about, as I said, 40 seconds. All right, welcome to Clear the Ice, a Flyers postgame show here on the It's a Ref Sports Network, which boy might be on the call. You might have remembered me from about 45 seconds ago on the final word, but now we're transitioning because tonight's twofer, and that's right. So I have the distinct pleasure of being the purveyor of the news of the Flyers tonight in stunning fashion. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I thought this team's done, but they found it internally and played a decent game tonight against the Washington Capitals to a 4-1 win, pushing them above 70 points at 71 now for the season, keeping scant, I'm not going to say playoff hopes, but scant playoff possibility. Let's call it playoff possibility hopes alive in the Eastern Conference right now as we are coming down the home stretch of the 25-26 season. And I said this the last time I did Clear the Ice last week. For who? For what? What are we doing? We're moving ourselves out of a better playoff or a better drafting position. So, but the Flyers did, to their own credit, win tonight 4-1 over the Washington Capitals. Let's talk a little bit about this hockey game in net for the Flyers tonight. Given a much needed, I thought, day off to Dan Vladar, as he was pretty much Mr. Goalie. If you look at his work prior, he was with the out there in the Olympics, and then he came right in and was, I think, in net just about every but one of the games. The Flyers, since returning, got the night off. Sam Ersson, maybe auditioning for his next job, as he is a free agent at the end of the year. Faced 22 shots tonight, made 21 saves, and finishes with a stout 0.955 save percentage on the evening. Again, maybe auditioning for another job next year. For the Capitals, Thompson got the call. He faced 21, gave up the 3 goals, and then finished with a 0.857 save percentage for the Capitals. Some of the admin notes of this hockey game. Let's talk some of your healthy scratches for the Flyers tonight. Garnet Hathaway and Emil Andre. God, I'm back to saying Emil Andre's name. And for the Washington Capitals, Dylan McGrath, Dave Kampf, Declan Chisholm, Ivan Mr. Rashenko was the healthy scratches tonight for the Capitals down there at the arena. Let's break into this game, shall we, for the Flyers. The Flyers would actually be finding themselves on the other end of this thing to begin on the power play, as one of the problems with the Flyers that has sort of cropped up this year that wasn't necessarily a problem, kind of was, but definitely not a problem 2 years ago, and definitely has been a problem now, has been their shorthanded coverage and their penalty kill. They have really struggled in 25-26 on the PK. Give up a power play goal at the 9:51 mark to Ryan Leonard, his 13th from Ovechkin and Dubois. It was 1-0 Capitals at this point, and that would be all your scoring in that first period. For the first period, the Capitals and Flyers would finish with a dead heat of 7 shots apiece. Heading into the second, here's a guy that hopefully won't be long for the Flyers, Travis Konechny. He would get things rolling for the Flyers, tying things up at 4:23 of the second, his 24th from Travis Sanheim, and the future of the Flyers, Alex Bump, his first career NHL assist to go along with his first career NHL goal that he had the other day. It is 1-1 at this point, but then the Flyers would pull ahead with another positive thing that happened to the Flyers this year. That's Trevor Zegras' 22nd of the year from Tippett and Grunderson to make it 2-1 Flyers at the 12-13 mark. Zegras will be entering the restricted free agency period as he is entering his final year of restricted free agency, right? So his final option, I guess. They get 3 of them, and this will be his final one. So the Flyers will more than likely, or they will be in the driver's seat in whether or not they want to retain him or not, and they will be compensated if they don't retain him, as they allow some other team to match an offer that the Flyers give them. So Flyers are in complete control here with Zegras, and Zegras is a former first-round pick. So if the Flyers do lose out on him, they will get compensated with some insane number, like the whoever team he goes to, their next 5 first-round draft picks, something crazy like that. But he definitely will command some money, and not big money, but the Flyers would undoubtedly match any offer and offer him a sheet here in at the end of the year. And I definitely think that Zegras will be back for at least 2 more years as a Flyer. It was 2-1 at this point, and that would be all your scoring in that second period. Flyers outshot the Capitals 8-7 in that period. Heading into the third period, good to see this guy's name coming up a lot more lately, and in a positive way. Jamie Drysdale, man. 7th goal of the year at the 7:17 mark from Cates and York, giving the Flyers a little bit of insurance there as we approach the midway point of that third period. So the Flyers were up 3-1, and then with the empty netter at the end at the 18:57 mark, Owen Tippett, his 21st goal of the year from Christian Dvorak and Noah Cates. Put the proverbial cherry on top for the Flyers in this game. The Flyers were on on the other side of an 8-7 shot period as the Capitals outshot them by 1 in that third period. For the game, the Flyers had 22 shots on net. The Capitals had 22 shots on net. Flyers were a dreadful 0 for 2 as their power play continues to struggle, and the Washington Capitals were 1 for 3. Flyers took the puck away 3 times and gave it away 11. Capitals took it away 10, gave it away 3. Flyers blocked 16 shots, and the Capitals blocked 11. And there you have 4-1 Flyers. Flyers will now get ready for some action on Thursday night as they will face tomorrow night. They'll go back-to-back. Is that right? Am I saying that right? They go back-to-back tomorrow? They do. They will be on the road. So at some point here in the next few hours, hopping on a plane and flying out to Minnesota for a reunion with Bobby Brink, as he has scored his first goals in Minnesota Wild. Tomorrow night in Washington, God damn it, Minnesota against the Wild. Mike Barrow will have you on the call, and then I'll be back on a standalone version of this program come Saturday against the Blue Jackets. As again, the Flyers are keeping their playoff possibilities, not hopes, but possibilities alive. And I am here, and now it brings me to the show. Point of the show that I do have to make an announcement about the future of Clear the Ice. Thank you, Joe. So unfortunately, one of the anchors that have been hanging around the neck of the Clear the Ice program has been Flyers playoff futility. Over the past, I think we're in season 5 of this program now, or 4. I don't know, where are we at? 22, 23, 24, 25. Season 4. Season 4 of this program is where we're at right now with Clear the Ice. And unfortunately, in all these 4 seasons, or the 3 3/4 that we're at right now, the Flyers have not shown us any playoff hockey. And there comes a time in the schedule that I must, and I've done it even with EOP, I had to make a decision about whether we need to scrap Clear the Ice and then concentrate on what the big story is coming right down the road. And that, of course, is the Philadelphia Phillies start of their season. And then the Phillies season begins on the 26th. So I made an executive decision that if the Flyers, if they win against Minnesota and they win against the Blue Jackets, and they won tonight, so that'd be 3 wins. They can win their next 3 games. I will keep the show going. We'll keep Clear the Ice rolling. But there's a West Coast trip coming up next week. And then we got the Phillies season. So in order to give the people, me and Mike namely, an opportunity to sort of relax a little bit before the calm of the storm hits of the baseball season, where it's 162 games every day, doing something about Phillies and trying to stretch as thin as I can 3 people hosting Fighting's Finals shows. And it gets a little bit daunting, especially as we enter the summer months, and then I pop out to do my baseball umpiring thing again, which will then be intensified this year with summer college baseball that I'll be doing up here in the north. I'll be starting at I hooked on with United Umpires, so I'll be doing those games along with some perfect game stuff up here. So my summer's about to go from like 1,000 to 2,000 miles an hour. So in order to kind of give us all a little bit of a breather as we get ready for that, I unfortunately have had to make the decision because of the Flyers' playoff chances being so scant they've been over the last 4 years to sort of just say, we're done. We'll see you next year. And one of these years, I hope one of these years soon, that I have no choice but to stay on the air through the end of the season and into a goddamn playoff run, because that's a great problem to have. But I don't think that problem is going to be had this year. So, with that being said, if the Flyers can win against the Wild and the Blue Jackets, I will keep the show rolling through next week on the West Coast. But if they do not win, if they lose against the Wild and they lose against the Blue Jackets, we will probably make a decision at that point to scrap Clear the Ice for the remainder of the season, and then re-engage this thing back in October for season number 5. It's a operational decision that has to be made. I don't have the people. I wish I had the people to keep things running at optimal speeds when it comes to some of this stuff, but I got to put my eggs in the right basket, and that basket's red and white. And unfortunately, the orange and black basket's falling apart. And I got to stop trying to throw tape on it and be just like fall apart. And we'll rejoin this stuff at the end of at the start of next season. But we will return. Whether or not if we go off the air next week or if we keep going, it'll basically if they win these next 2 games, we'll keep the show going on a week-to-week basis to see how far we can go until this thing kind of resolves itself. But if they do not win against the Wild and they do not win against the Blue Jackets, I sadly am announcing that I will clear the ice for the remainder of the season, and we start focusing on the Titans final. So it's an unfortunate decision that has to be made, and it's a decision that I've had to make far too often when it comes to this hockey team over the last 4 years. And I long for the day where I don't have to make that decision anymore. I long for that day more than you know, but I'm not seeing enough this year to sway my decisions or sway me in other possibilities. I'm already starting to focus in on the Phillies. Obviously, I've been focused on baseball since Valentine's Day, but I got to make an operational decision what's best for the network. Again, this is a tough business we're in, and I know it's not necessarily the popular answers, but I'm going to make a decision. Whether or not you will like it or he likes it or she likes it, I don't really care. It's my network, and I'll do what I want. But, I'm trying to feed the animal at all different sides, but unfortunately, I just don't have enough bowls right now. And I gotta sort of put my eggs in a different basket. But we're gonna make that decision here going forward. And again, if the Flyers win against the Wild and the Blue Jackets, we will keep rolling the show through the West Coast trip. You don't know how daunting these West Coast trips are, especially at the end of the season, especially midweek, which I don't know what in the hell. This is like the first time in like 10 years the Flyers have gone to LA, Anaheim, and San Jose at the end of March. That's typically the New Year's Eve trip, right? I mean, that's typically when they do it, or they do it some other time earlier on in the season to get it out of the way. But now we're doing a West Coast trip in March. NHL ain't doing me any favors on this. So with that being said, and to save Mike Lauro and myself some sleep at night, I'm going to make a decision. But if they keep winning and they win these next 2 games, we'll go into the West Coast. We will. And then we'll do it a week by week basis. But if they do not win these next 2 games, and I don't mean like they gotta lose, right? If they pull a point, that's still keeping hope alive, right? But if they lose these next 2 games, I'm going to make the decision to pull the plug on clear the ice at that time until next season. We will be back for season 5, and God hope we get to the playoffs then. But I got to make those decisions every year far too often, and I hate it. Is Al Show going to add? Not as far as I know, unless you got some info that I am not tracking. Al had to take the week off last week, but he'll be back on Friday, as far as I know. I haven't spoken to Al in a couple weeks. Oh, no, actually, I texted with him over the week. So, yeah, but Friday night at 9, the Philly Friday Frenzy will return on this network, hopefully. Yes, I have no reason to believe it won't. But as far as to answer your question, it will not. And we'll actually be folding some Titans. So to kind of give you some intel about the Titans final, let's talk about the Titans final, shall we? It's okay to talk about it. Again, I mentioned March 22nd at 2 p.m. Sunday live. We will debut season 5 of the Titans final with the Phillies 2026 preview show. And then on March 26th, 2026, when the Phillies open their season up against the Texas Rangers, we will be back and we will be in full form to deliver some great post-game action. I'm going to keep I already know who's going to do the first game. It will be a dual effort. There'll be 2 hosts for the opening game of the season. But then after that, we're going to go into the 1-host format until the end of the season. And then we'll come back together mid-season around the All-Star break, do our mid-break show. And then at the end, we'll go into a partnership again in the playoffs in October. So we'll start together, break apart, come back together, break back apart, and come back together. That's how we typically do it here on the show, and we're going to continue that in 2026. So, I already know who the 2 are that are going to host opening day, but I'm going to keep that a secret for a little while longer. Maybe we'll debut it we'll reveal it on the preview show on the 22nd. But But that's what we have to do. And as far as the Fightins Final go and Al goes, so Al's Friday night show will be a twofer on Friday nights. He will regain or resume his Friday night Fightins Final duties as well. And he'll just fold the Fightins Final into his show. Kind of how I do this with Clear the Ice. And then Al will be taking over right now in theory, in a verbal agreement that he's made with me. He will be our Tuesday night guy as well. So Al will be taking Fridays and Tuesdays on the Fightins Final. And then me and Mike will be doing a mad dash around the channel for every other game. So stay tuned for that. And again, the final word, the flagship show of this fine network, will be moving back to its 10 p.m. start time starting on March 22nd as well, in order to sort of prepare for the SummerSlam that we go through. And then at the end of the Philly season, at some point next year, we'll go back down to 9 o'clock. So we operate in the winter at 9 and in the summer at 10. So we'll be going back to the 10 o'clock start time some point around March 22nd in order to give sort of some flux, from the end of the Phillies game to the start of my show, if I'm not hosting. Because if I'm hosting the Fightins Final, there will be no final word that night. That's how we do that. So just a little bit of programming information on how we're going to handle the Fightins Final and Clear the Ice moving forward. Rest of the way here. Again, if the Flyers win tomorrow and win Saturday, we will be back next week for a full week of the Clear the Ice program. If they do not win either of those games, I am pulling the plug on the Clear the Ice show until October of 2026. And that's just a decision that has to be made. I'm saving me and Mike a West Coast trip, and I'm saving me and Mike some time to get ready for what will be a very long, hopefully fruitful 2026 Philly season. So that's what is going to happen. Flyers do win tonight 4-1. Pull themselves into that 70-point plateau. Hope remains alive as the playoff push is on, I guess, for this team. Thursday night, Mike Lara will be back for Clear the Ice as well, and I'll be back Saturday against the Blue Jackets, perhaps maybe for the final time this year. Hopefully not. Hopefully we're coming at you at 2 a.m. next week in Anaheim and San Jose and LA. I really do. I really hope. But decisions got to be made, man. Got to be made. Can't just keep putting our faces in the fan, right, Mike? Because me and Mike just suffer, man. Hey, now sleeping by 9 o'clock at night. Oh, man. It's me and Mike up there at 2 a.m. So, Flyers lost 8-1 today in Anaheim. And if anybody knows, Cutter Gauthier had 5 goals and 6 assists and was skating circles around the Flyers. Almost, mimicking them and trying to goat them into a penalty. So it's us who suffer there. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I want to thank everybody for being part of not only the Clear the Ice program, but also the final word. It's great to be back. I am back at base camp. My summer college Southern trips are over. Got cut short due to some financial limitations. It was just really costing way too much to live off the land, so to speak. Too much coming out of my pocket, not enough going in. So a mutual decision was made after I did 12 games. So I'm pretty happy with that. 12 games of baseball this summer or spring season. Plan is now I'm back here. So April I will do our school season or high school season in this area, and then summer I'll do my summer stuff along with summer collegiate ball. And next fall, I may attend a different type of camp for college baseball, one that concentrates on the northern area within the area that I live in and the Philly area as well. And then maybe next spring, instead of heading down south, I stay here and just do some games in the local area. So we'll see. We'll see as when we get to that bridge. So I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight for the final word, and as well as for Clear the Ice. For everybody that's associated or part of the It's a Wrap Sports Network, thank you once again for your continued support. It means a lot to me. And for those out there that, just thank you for everyone who contributes and is supportive. We try. Again, I never made any promises to anybody about becoming the number one citizen of the internet. All right. That's not who I am, but I want to thank those that see through that and understand that this is there to entertain and have fun with, And you know what? I'm going to keep doing it till there's not life left in his body. So I ain't going anywhere soon. You guys have a great rest of your night. I will see you again tomorrow night on the Final Word. We also will have some Clear the Ice tomorrow. So till then, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I am out of here.